to share a little bit about mothers. I'm going to read Proverbs 22:6 real quickly. And it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Amen. Now, the reason I wanted to start with that is because we all realize that most of the time the training and the upbringing is by mom and dad kind of stay out of the head, which is probably a good thing because they wouldn't survive very long. But this morning I want to read a little bit. I want to talk about Mother's Day. You probably know a little bit about the history of Mother's Day, but I'm going to read it anyway. We see that all the different types of mothers, good, bad, some are terrible, some are great, but once I read that all love begins and ends with motherhood, which is really true. And the celebration of Mother's Day dates back to the ancient Greeks and Romans. They had held a festival to honor the mother goddess Rhea in Sicily, I can't pronounce it, and in UK and parts of Europe on the fourth Sunday in Lent, they would celebrate Mother's Sunday. But of course we know that it all started back in modern Mother's Day. Was started by a woman named Anna Jarvis, the daughter of Anne Revis Jarvis, after her mother's death in 1905. She wanted to commemorate all the great things that her mother did, all the lectures and the churches that she went to, just the value of her mother's life. And so what she did is she kept pushing forward to get it to be. It started in a church actually in West Virginia, and then later became, of course, as we know, as Mother's Day. But what was really wild about it was that Anna wanted it to be a special moment, and of course, like anything else in life, it made money, so they just made it out to make money. And so she spent the rest of her life trying to get it away from making money, from being all the big card companies. So it's kind of ironic, something that she wanted to be very special turned out to be something not as she thought it was. And that's in our lives, we see that. But today I want to talk about three different women and mothers, and I want us to see their reactions in the beginning and then how they changed and how God moved in their life. The first one I'm going to start with is going to be in 1 Kings 17. I'm going to try to read real quickly because y'all know I read slow, so I don't want to get it all bunched up. So it says, in the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, he's talking about Elijah, unto him, saying, arise, get thee to Zephadah, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. But behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain me. So he arose and went to Zephath, and when he came to the gate of the city, behold, the widow woman was there gathering up sticks. And he called to her and said, fetch me, I pray thee, a little water in a vessel, that I may drink. And as she was going to fetch it, he called to her and said, bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thy hand. And she said, as the Lord thy God liveth, I have not a cake, but a handful of meal and barley, and a little of oil in a cruse. And behold, I am gathering 2 sticks, that I may go and dress it for me and my son, that we may eat and die. Now I want to stop right there for a second. So we see this woman, and this is after Elijah, there was a drought, and Elijah was being fed by the ravens, and then the brook drew up, and of course he gets angered at God, and God tells him to go into the city. Well, this woman, and so this is the time of the drought. This woman, she's at the point that she doesn't know anything else she can do. She's just, there's nothing else. There's no food. She's a widow. Of course, back in the time, nobody took care of them. So it's just her and her son, and she's thinking the best thing in life is to die. And then you got this old man, and he comes up to you, and you're walking across gathering up sticks to go kill yourself. And this old man says, hey, while you're over, bring me a glass of water. And you go, okay. And then you go get the water, and he says, hey, by the way, go make me a cake. Well, we don't have anything to make cake. Well, that's okay, go do it. And then if we read a little bit longer, she says, but I can't. And he goes, well, you go do what you got to do in a minute, but you bake me a cake first. And the ironic thing about it is, and it made me really think this morning, is she did it. She stopped what she was doing and went and made this holy man a cake. And he told her that barley and all your stuff would never go away. I want to read it real quickly. And it says, and Elijah said unto her, Fear not, go and do as that thou hast said, but make me therefore a little cake first. So in other words, he's saying, hey, if you want to go kill yourself, that's the way I'm taking it. I don't know the proper translation, but I'm taking, he says, okay, you can go do that later, but first make me a cake. And she's like, oh, okay. So he says, and do us little cake first, and bring it unto me, and afterward make for thee and for thy son. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel, the barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the curse of oil fail, until the day that the Lord sendeth rain upon the earth. And she went and did according to the saying of Elijah, and she and he and her house did eat many days. And the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the curse of oil fail, according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke by Elijah.
Amen.
So most people believe that where it says many days, that's about a year before it rained again, because the rainy season, as we know. I just was thinking about that this morning. Now, Mother got to the point in her life that she thought that was it. And the best thing to do, instead of her child growing up in this famine and this desolate, was to kill herself and him. Now, we think of that, we think, man, that's some crazy stuff, but sometimes when we get so desperate and we don't see anything else but what's right in front of us, we get to that point. Some of us do think of that, but not even as a death of wanting to kill us, but we get to thinking that this is all there is. This is all I have. Nothing's going to change. It's just going to be this way. And then all of a sudden, this old man yells at you, hey, give me a glass of water. You're like, dude, I'm about to kill you. We'll deal with that. No, go give me a glass of, oh, by the way, make me a cake. Could you imagine I'd be like, dude, you crazy. And then he says, don't be afraid. It's going to be okay. See, and I think in that moment, I think she realized who he was and who was speaking through him. Because, see, it was Elijah, but God was speaking through Elijah. He was using us as a vessel. So I want us to look at both sides of this. I want us to see her, and she's desperate, and she's desolate, and she's like, man, there's nothing more. And you have this man of God, and he's obeying God. And he's speaking. So we see both sides. He had to be obedient. And then she had to listen. And so sometimes it's as minute as saying, hey, go give me a glass of water. Make me a cake. Because, see, she had to see who he was. And she had to see, and he had to know that God spoke to him. But what is ironic about this, and before I go to the next woman, is that's not the end of the story. Like Paul Harvey used to say, let me get to the rest of the story. So we go on to 17, and it says, and it came to pass after these things that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick, and his sickness was sore, that there was no breath left in him. So in other words, he died. And she said unto Elijah, what have I done to thee, O man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance? So I want you to think about this. Here she is. She's ready to kill herself. This man of God tells her to bake a cake, bakes a cake. For a whole year she's taking care of it. It doesn't say how long it was between then and then, but we know it at least was a year. So everything was fine, and all of a sudden her son dies. She's thinking to herself, she goes to this man of God, she's like, well, why in the world did you do that? Why did you save me? I could have killed myself and my son. Now my son's dead and I'm by myself. Why did you do that for? And the son of God, or the man of God's like, I don't know, let's go talk to God. So anyway, if we read it, he goes back and he gets the child and he walks around and he asks the same thing. And it says in Elijah, he says, and he said unto her, give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him up into a loft where he abode and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord, my God, hast thou also brought evil unto the widow with whom I so journeyed by slaying her son? And he stretched forth himself upon the child. 3 times he cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came unto him again and received. And Elijah took the child and brought her down. Well, I want you to think about that. That is just so amazing to me. Why would God do that? I mean, really think about it. I thought about that all this morning. Why would he keep her from doing what she thought was right? And then all of a sudden, the child dies. You know, we go through life like that, and I mean, that's drastic. I'm not saying I won't take lightly of her child died, but we go through life, and all of a sudden, God helps us out, and we see it was God. And like she said, I know that God did this, and then all of a sudden, boom, the bottom falls out again. And we go to God and we say, well, why did you do that? Why didn't you leave me in my misery and let me die in? Why did you give me happiness? Why did you give me all these things, and then all of a sudden you're going to take it away? And then Elijah's like, well, I don't know, let's go ask God. So he asked God the same thing. Why did you do this, God? And then God healed him. So why did he do it? Why do we think that God does things like that? I have no answer for that. But all I know is that it changed those people's lives. It changed Elijah. It changed her. And as we see at the end of it, at verse 24, and it says, and the woman said unto Elijah, now by this I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in thy mouth is true. So she knew, and everyone else knew that he was it. And so when I think about that, did God want her to see both sides of God? That he not only took care of her in the time of need, of when she needed to eat and when she needed that, but she also took care of the time when she was so distraught of her son's dying. Like I say, I don't know why God does things like that. I just know that he did both. He came through, and she knew where to take him. She took him to the man of God. And so we have to know where we go, where our strength comes from. So in the second woman, I want us to look at is in 2 Kings. And it's this one's going to be a little long, so I'm going to kind of tie two of them in together. But, you know, Isaiah says in 49:15, it says, can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. So God's telling us that us as humans may forget what we need, but God will never forget. He knows who we are, and that's what he did in the widow's woman with her son. He knew what she needed. Now, why it went that direction, we have no idea, but we do know that what came out of it was something great. And so in chapter 4, 2 Kings, we see this is, now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elijah. Now this time it's Elijah. Remember Elijah, he asked Elijah for a double portion of miracles. So, which he did, he got it. So we see Elijah rose somebody from the grave, and then we get to see Elijah do the same thing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, it says, and now cried the woman from the wives of the sons of prophets unto Elijah, saying, thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and Creator is come to take unto him my two sons, the creditor, to take my two sons to be bondmen. And Elijah said unto her, what shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, thy handmaiden hath not anything in the house except one pot of oil. Now, what is so cool about this is that the sons of the prophets were actually servants or students of the prophets themselves. So in other words, she saying to Elijah that you knew who he was because he served under you. And so like I said, it's like, you know, I guess you would say it would be like a seminary. But they were learning of the ways of the law and everything. So she was a widow, and she knew where to go, but she was afraid because back then, of course, if you owed a debt, they could take your children. And they would have to be bondsmen to pay off the debt. Now, it doesn't say how much she had, but I'm pretty sure it's quite a bit. But he told her, what do you have? I don't have anything. I got a pot of oil. He says, okay. You read a little bit farther on, he says, go borrow every vessel you can. Whatever will hold some oil, water, go get it. Take it into your house and have you and your sons pour the oil in there, and it never stop. So they did. They went and borrowed vessels, they borrowed pots, anything they could get that would hold something, and it did. You read on, and did exactly like he said. It's poured it in there, poured it in there, poured it in there, and never stopped until the pots ran out. And then what did Elijah tell her? He says, okay, now, and this is verse 6, and it says, and it came to pass when the vessels were full that she said unto her son, bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, there is no more vessel. And the oil stayed. In other words, it stopped. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, go and sell the oil and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children of the rest. So he took care of the need. And so we see in the first woman, there was a need of debt, or need of provision, I guess you would say. And in the second woman, there was the same thing. Both of them were going to lose their children. One was going to lose it to death, and the other was going to lose it to the creditors, to be bondmen, to be slaves the rest of their life. So we see God provided both things. He not only provides us financially, He provides us in a way of taking care of us, but we have to go to Him. We have to see what He can do for us. If we look only on the circumstances, and as a parent, it's hard because you're not only looking for yourself, you're looking for your children, as she was. She wasn't so much, I believe, worried about herself, but she's like, hey, they're going to take my children. What are you going to do? And he says, well, what do you got? And so God took care of her. And I don't really believe if she would have had more pots, He would have kept them poor. She just ran out. So God knows what we need, and He takes care of us. And that's what I want to see is the mother knew where to go. So she automatically knew where to go. She knew that, hey, Elijah's going to take care of it. So we see the miracle in that. Now the third woman I want to get to, this is really cool, is because you probably know the story, but this is the wealthy woman, and this is starting in verse 8. And actually I'm going to start in verse 9. Let's go on 8. It says, and it fell on that day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as oft as he passed, he turned in thither to eat. And she said unto her husband, behold, now I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passeth by continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when it cometh to us, that he shall turn thither. So, she's a wealthy woman. They're wealthy, and she builds this room for Elijah. And every time he passes by, he gets to stay, and they eat, and they talk. And it does the same many times. It passes by, I'm pretty sure it's quite a bit, because it's on its way home. So, you read a little bit farther down, Elijah, he's like, man, she's so nice to me. We got to do something for her. So he asked her, he says, what do you want? Do you want to live among the kings? Do you want to have all this? And she goes, no, I love where I'm at. So Elijah's like, well, what can I give her? So she doesn't say what she wants. She's just going through life. She's happy. She's content. So Elijah's servant says, hey, she doesn't have any children. So Elijah goes, okay, well, let's give her a child. So we see later on in verse 16, and he said about this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, nay, my Lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto me, thy handmaid. And the woman conceived and bare a son that season that Elijah had said unto her, according to the time of life. And when the child was grown and fell on the day, he went out to his father on the reapers. And he said unto his father, my head hurt my head. And he said to a lad, carry him into his mother. Now, so Elijah gave her the child. He got grown. He went with his daddy to work. And he got sick. And so this is just like a man. He says, go take to mama, let mama take care of him. And what she did, and then we read a little bit longer that she's on his knee and he dies. And most believe it was heat stroke. But she didn't ask for it. She was content with life. And Elijah's like, no, I want to give you a gift. I want to give you something because you helped us. And so the woman's like, oh, don't lie to me. Don't deceive me. Don't trick me. And so she conceives, she has a child. And now, he's dead. So how can you think that she felt? I didn't even want this, God, and you gave it to me. Now look at it. Now I have sorrow, I have pain. Now, all because of this man of God wanted to help me. So we see, and we read a little bit later, farther down, that she, and I love this part, I'm going to read it real quickly. And she said unto her husband and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of thy young men and one of the asses, that I may go running to the man of God and come again. And he said, I love this. He said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither the new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, It shall be well. Now I'm going to tell off on him. That's perfect man right there. Because he's like, he don't even know what's going on. She's like, well, why are you going to Holy Man for? It ain't the Sabbath. It ain't the new moon. And I could just imagine her thinking, Lord have mercy, he's dead. We're going to go get the Holy Man now. And the dad's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll see you later. But that's cool. She tells the young man that gets her, she tells him, Dad, don't hold up on me. We're going to ride. But what I love about the end of that scripture is what she says. It shall be well. In other words, it's going to be okay. It ain't right now, but it's going to be okay. Then she saddled up the ass and they drove in, and it says that, we'll jump down to 26, and it says, Run now. This is Elijah sees that she's coming, so he sends his servant down and says, Run now, I pray thee, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with thee? Is it well with thy husband? Is it well with thee, thy child? And she answered, It is well. And when she came unto the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gaza came near, thrust her off, and the man of God said, Let her alone, for her soul is vexed within her, and the Lord hath hid it from me, and hath not told me. Now, I like that part right there because there's two things in that I like to see, is that she said almost it's well. He asked about her husband, asked about the child, and she's like, no, it's well. Now, how can we think about that and you think, oh, her son's dead, but she's saying everything is well. And you know she got to be angry because, like I said, she didn't even ask for it. You know, and now he blessed her with the child, and now take the child away. But she's the whole time saying it's well. Just like she told her husband, it's going to be well. I'll be back. It's going to be okay. So then she goes to the man of God, and then he says, leave her alone because it's vexed. But what is so cool is because he says that the Lord hid it from him. See, he didn't know. He's supposed to be a prophet, and he's got all this power, and he does all this. But God didn't show him. Why didn't he show him? You ever thought about that? Why did he not show Elijah? I think it's because he wanted Elijah to see the pain. That's why he says she was vexed. He wanted Elijah to see how she felt. Because he said that the Lord hid it from him. Because he wanted to see the look in her eye when she says it's going to be well. And we have to see that sometimes in our lives. We have to feel that pain. When someone asks you to pray, and I've said this many times, when someone asks you to pray for me and you say, oh yeah, I'll pray for you. But you got to see that pain. You have to see that fear in their eyes. You have to see that distress. Just like with the woman that was going to make the sticks for her and her child. You have to see that distress in their lives. You have to say, okay. And that's what I believe Elijah had to see. He had to see that. And he says, okay, you go ahead of me. Take my staff and you go. And I love this. The lady's like, oh, no. As the Lord liveth and you liveth, everybody liveth, I'm going with you. You're coming. You ain't just sending your servant to go lay on the bill. You're coming. So Elijah gets up and goes. And like I said, we have to get to the point of knowing where we go, where we have to go to, knowing what God wants from us. And like I said, I believe that he wanted Elijah to see it, and he wanted to feel the pain of it. And so, as they ride, and we get back to the house, and it says, and it went therefore, and it says, in 32, it says, and Elijah was come into the house, behold, the child was dead, and laid upon his bed. Now, this is cool too, and I kind of skipped this, but she took the baby, the son, I say baby, but she took the young child and laid him on Elijah's bed. She didn't leave him in the house. She took him where the man of God sleeps. Because there's got to be something special about this bed that this man of God sleeps on. So we realize that he's in there, and Elijah came into the house and upon his bed, and he went therefore and shut the door upon them twine and prayed unto the Lord. And he went up and laid upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his, and stretched forth himself unto the child. And the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. And he called unto Gehazi, and said, Call the Shunammite. So he called her, and when she was come and unto him, he said, Take up thy son. Then she went and fell at his feet, and bowed herself to the ground, and took up her son and went. So he healed him. He brought him back alive, which is awesome in itself. But we look at that, like I said, we see the different mothers, and we see where they ended up going and what God did for them. And that's what he's trying to show us this morning, is that we as caregivers, or we as parents, or whatever, we have to realize, where does our help come from? What is God doing in our lives? And we can look at it and we can see it. And like I said, Isaiah 66 and 13, 14 says, As one who is his mother's comfort, so will I comfort you. Ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb, and the hand of the Lord shall be known toward his servants, and his invocation toward his enemy. So he's comparing his love and his comfort as a mother's love and comfort. So we see that God is wanting to be our comforter. He wants to take care of us. Even in the drasticity of losing a child, or losing your brother, or your mother, or whoever it is, it's pain. And there's pain and there's distress in finances, and there's stress in losing you. Especially now, what's going on now, there's so much going on. But we have to know where our help comes from.
Yes, amen.
We have to know what he wants, or what he wants us to continue on. He wants us to go to him and know. Like I said, we go back to the other woman, and he takes care of them, and he gets them their food, and then all of a sudden the son dies, and she's like, Well, why did you do this for? He's like, I don't know. So we understand that God just has his plan in our lives and things, and where we might think it's going, it might not be going. Just like with the woman, she was content. The last mother, she was content. She had a nice life she's living, and it says that they're very wealthy. And then this man of God's like, Hey, I'm going to bless you. And she's like, Oh, don't lie to me, don't deceive me. And then all of a sudden he dies. And so you're thinking, why would this be like this? And like I said, I can't answer that. But all I know is that where she went and what God did in her life is just amazing to me. And her knowing. See, that's so cool, is because she knew from the beginning, as soon as she told her husband, it's going to be well, I'll be right back. Which I don't think he knew what was going on anyway, but that's a different story. But what I want us to get to this morning, like I said, I'm going to try to close, is we see these different deals, and I want to quote Billy Graham once. He said, Only God himself fully appreciates the influence of a Christian mother in the molding of the character of her children. So we see what God can do in our lives and what God has done in other people's lives. See, because that's what the Bible, the Word of God, is life. It's more than just a book. And I've said this to numerous people. When I realized that there was more to this book than just it having to be read. That you got to read it from Genesis to Revelation. You have to do this. No, when I realized that it was Paul writing a letter to Timothy, or it's like this: the records of the kings when they're talking about Elijah and the things they did. This was real. Like I said, I know that I believe that the reason he hid it from Elijah was because he wanted Elijah to feel her pain. So she was a real woman. He was a real man. He was a man of God, but he was real. He slept and he ate, and he felt the pain of the woman, of the loss she had. That's what we have to realize. This is life. This is people, everyday lives going through the same things we go through, where you don't have enough to eat, and you think you're at the end of it, and man, there's the only thing left is to die. No. Sometimes that's all you got to do is stop and go get somebody a glass of water. What do you think if she would have said no? Or when the other one that all she had was a little pot of oil, and Elijah tells her, hey, just go get all these vessels, and you're like, well, okay, I got this little deal of oil, and I'm going to get this vessel. What good is that going to do? Have you ever done that when God shows you something? I know I have. I'm telling off myself I have. I was like, God, there ain't no way that's going to happen. But it happens. Yes. And that's what he's telling us this morning. Is let's know where to go to. As these mothers knew who to go. And as we said earlier, that's not the end of the story. And I am going to close with this. Now that same woman is in chapter 8. It says, then spoke Elijah unto the woman, this is the same woman, whose son he had restored to life, saying, arise and go thou and thy household, and sojourn wheresoever thou canst sojourn, for the Lord hath called for thee for a famine, and it shall also come upon the land 7 years. And the woman arose and did after the saying of the man of God, and she went with her household and sojourned to the land of the Philistines 7 years. And it came to pass at the 7 years, and it came to pass, at 7 years in, that the woman returned out to the land of Philistines, and she went forth to cry unto the king for her house and for her land. Now, I'm going to stop right here, because she left and she was obedient to the man of God. He told her, hey, there's going to be a famine. You need to get your household, So he's still protecting her. God's still taking care of her. He's like, hey, you need to get away. It's going to be bad. So she does. Now she comes back, and she's on her way back to cry to the king. So in other words, she's going to go to her king because she lost everything. She left it. There was nothing. The vineyards, everything was gone. And this is so cool. Verse 4, it says, and the king talked with Gehazi. I still can't pronounce his name. But anyway, the servant of the man of God. So the king is talking to Elijah's servant and saying, tell me, I pray thee, all the great things that Elijah hath done. And it came to pass, as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead body to life, that behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, my lord, O king, this is the woman. This is her son, whom Elijah restored to life. And when the king asked the woman, she told him. So the king appointed unto her a certain officer, saying, restore all that was hers, and all the fruits of the field since the day that she left the land, even unto now. Now that is amazing to me. That just makes me excited. Here they are, this king's out there. 7 years. Think about it. 7 years to the day. She comes home, and she's going to the king. And like I say, this is a bold woman. But we can tell that from before. She's like, it's all well. Don't ride no slow for me, because we're going to go get the man of God. So she's going to the king. And she's saying, hey, I'm going to go back and get my land. The same time that she's going to the king, here it is, Elijah's servant. The king's wanting to know. He's excited about this man Elijah. And he says, tell me everything. Tell me everything that he did. And so the servant's like, oh man, sure. So he raised this kid up from the grave, or from the dead, and he helped this. And then he looks over, and there she is. He goes, hey king, that's her. And the king's like, no. So he, hey, come over here. And it's her. And it makes me excited, because I'm thinking to myself, my God, to the day. How can he not do that for me? How can he not do that for you? To the day. I saw that again this morning, and I'm going to tell off on myself again. I've read past that 1,000 times. And it never dawned on me. It was that day. And it's like us. Sometimes we talk about, man, Jesus did this for me. I saw this and I saw that. And then all of a sudden we say, yeah, that's the guy I was talking about. That's the guy, he was strung out on drugs and he was about to die, but look at him. Or that dude didn't even have a job last year. Look at him, man, he's got a nice car, a nice house. That's what God wants us to do. He wants us to say, oh, you want to hear about Elijah? I'm going to tell you about Elijah. And in that moment, that just excites me, people. That just blew my mind this morning, because I never caught it.
God revealed that to me this morning. He was like, that day. And he's like, oh, look, there she is. There she is. Come over here. Come over here. And then the king gives her everything back. That's what he's telling us this morning, is he wants us to draw near to him. He wants us to see what he can do for us. And I am going to close with that. Because I got a lot more. That's long. But I just want y'all to know, and it's, like I said, it excites me, man. I was so excited because I never caught it before. And that day, it's like, oh, King, look. And like I said, I just go because it excites me so much. I'm like, man, that's my God. He's alive. And he knows every moment. He knew they were going to have that conversation. And that bold woman, that mama, it's like, hey, I'm back in town. I want my stuff back. Now, he never said where the husband was at. He's probably outside. Hey, you go over there and talk to the king. Because I'm going to hide out here, okay? So her and her son goes in. Like, I don't talk to him. But that's what I'm saying, man. It excites me so much. It just blew me away. I'm like, my God, that's amazing. And he can do that for me. He can do that for you. And we just got to know where our power and where our strength and our refuge comes from. And that's all I have. Like I said, if you have anything, if you have any prayer requests, I hope you enjoyed it.